All right, Council, if I can have your attention, the moment you've been waiting for, it's Wednesday, April 3rd at 7 p.m. And this is the District of Sechelt regular council meeting for today. And I would like to start off by acknowledging that the District of Sechelt is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Sechelt Nation. We respect the histories, language, and culture of the people of the Sechelt Nation whose presence continues to enrich this community. I take great gratitude in living and working at Sechelt Hospital and in the healthcare community here in the SWIA since 1996. So I would like to call this meeting to order and ask if there are any declarations of conflict. Seeing none, I would like to make a motion to remove 7.4 from the agenda tonight. It is a copy of minutes that we have already passed or accepted for September 27th. So 7.4 will come off the agenda and there's not an item that replaces it, so it'll be removed. So can I have a motion for that? First and seconded, all in favor? And so, let's do that again. So I'm going to dot the amended agenda. First and second, all in favor? So moved. Okay, so we have a delegation with us tonight. I'm just going to give a bit of context to the delegation because this is a topic that this community's heard in the last couple of years, and there was a request put forward for this group to come and speak with us again, and staff did reach out to me to see where council sat with this, and being that Councillor Toth and I are the only ones that were left standing of the last council, I felt it only fair that the rest of them would hear what SCARDO has to say. So at this point, we're going to hear a presentation, and I believe it's going to be led by Peter sitting on this. So come on up, Peter. You're welcome. And just remember to turn your mic on. We have a massive listening audience online, and they won't be able to hear you unless you use the microphone. So the stage is yours.
Am I okay? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Just out of interest, how many here are dog owners? Oh, good. And we're in good company. Dear council members, I'm going to read this if that's okay. On behalf of the Sunshine Coast Association for Responsible Dog Owners, we extend our sincere gratitude to the council for the opportunity to advocate our case to reinstate on a 6-month probationary basis council resolution, I'm not going to read the number, it doesn't matter, which designates Kinnickinnick Park Sports Field as an off-leash dog park, except when the field is previously booked for a sporting event. This resolution has been a cornerstone of our community for many years, providing valuable benefits to Sechelt residents. While we understand the concerns raised regarding the wear and tear in the sports field, it is essential knowledge that multiple factors contribute to this issue. We appreciate the advice from the superintendent of the Blue Ocean Golf Course, an experienced greenskeeper, who has highlighted that the wear and tear cannot be solely attributed to dogs. It's important to note that he has expressly authorized us to walk our dogs off leash around the perimeter of the golf course when no golfers are present, being mindful to pick up after our dogs. He is aware that the dogs will stray onto the fairways, but it is not concerned about damage to the course as a result. He has stated that soccer season, due to the cleated footwear, climate change, and inadequate field surfacing, are significant contributors, indicating a shared responsibility amongst various groups. It is therefore unjust to target dog owners as the sole group facing restrictions on field usage. Such limitations based solely on dog ownership fail to consider the diverse needs within our community. Public spaces play a crucial role in nurturing social cohesion, physical well-being, and a shared sense of belonging across all demographics. Embracing inclusivity is key to cultivating environments where every individual feels respected and part of the community. Some benefits to consider for shared usage of such shared spaces are: 1, physical activity and well-being. Access to public spaces encourages physical activity, benefiting individual health and well-being. This includes not only sports players, but also dog owners who utilize these spaces for recreational walks and exercise with their pets. 2, accessibility for seniors and physically challenged individuals. Kinnickinnic Park Sports Field offers a safer environment for seniors and those with physical challenges. With its flat terrain, easy accessibility from parking, and openness compared to other areas. This accessibility is crucial for ensuring equal opportunities for all members of our community. For example, it has been expressed from some seniors that Jane Bowers Dog Park in Sechelt has a difficult uphill terrain for seniors who are not as mobile as others. Number 3, optimized resource utilization. Public spaces are funded by taxpayer dollars and should be designated to maximize their utility for the entire community. The fact is, these fields are left empty and unused a great deal of the time. Restricting access based on narrow criteria limits the potential benefits these spaces can offer. Prior to the adoption of the original resolution to allow off-leash dog use of the Kinnickinnic Park Sports Field, there was a 6-month probational trial period. We request that you follow the same process and approve a 6-month probationary period for one of the following 3 options. Off-leash access, off-leash access to only the upper field of Kinnickinnic Park Sports Field, which would require some fencing, except for when there are scheduled sports events. Or B, off-leash access to both the upper and lower fields of Kinnickinnic Sports Field, except for when there are scheduled sports events. Or C, off-leash access to both the upper and lower fields of Kinnickinnic Sports Field for special specified times during the day, 9 to 11 a.m. and 3 to 5 p.m., except for when there are scheduled sports events. The probationary period will enable responsible dog owners to demonstrate to both the council and the community at large that the use of the fields for an off-leash dog park can coexist with other users. At least some members of the association will be at the park daily. We will make it our individual and collective responsibility to ensure that the fields are used respectfully without a detrimental impact on other users. This would include scooping up any dog excrement that may have been unwittingly left by other dog owners, which already is a common practice amongst our community of dog owners. In closing, we'd like to share with you the following poem from Dog Songs by the Pulitzer Prize winner, Mary Oliver. The dog would remind us of the pleasures of the body with its graceful physicality and the acuity and rapture of the senses, and the beauty of the forest and ocean and the rain and our own breath. There is not a dog that romps and runs, but we learn from him. The other dog, the one with all its life walks leashed and obedient down the sidewalk, is what a chair is to a tree. It is a possession only, the ornament of a human life. Such dogs can remind us of nothing large or noble or mysterious or lost. They cannot make us sweeter and more kind. Only unleashed dogs can do that. They are a kind of poetry themselves when they are devoted not only to us, but to the wet night, to the moon, and the rabbit smell in the grass, and their own bodies leaping forward. You dog owners will recognize that. Thank you very much for your attention to this matter. Questions?
Thank you. Council? Councillor Inkster?
Yeah. I have a few questions to the speaker, I guess. I guess you're the
I'll
one
try.
that gets to answer them. I think you can answer all of these because you're a dog owner and you're at Kinnickinnick. And is it okay, Madam Chair, that I ask all of them because they're very intertwined?
I didn't see any other hands go up, so go
Okay,
ahead.
thanks. So do you often enforce the rules that are present up there, your group or yourself?
How do you mean?
There's rules, and there was rules there before about not allowing your dog to go to the washroom on the field, and if in fact that happens, is it pointed out to those owners?
Absolutely.
Okay. The reason I ask is that we've heard that people would, obviously you'd say that, but people will often say, I don't want to confront that person. They have an angry dog. I don't want to confront that person. They're angry, and difficult. I'm glad you do, but that's what I often have heard in the past.
We don't confront them.
Yeah,
We'll clean it up.
you clean it
after.
up. Okay, yeah, it doesn't teach those dog owners anything, but you're right, you're keeping the field clean. Do you notice excrement on the field, your group, when you're up there? Did you before?
We do from time to time,
Okay,
and we clean it up.
and you clean it, once again, you clean it up. And,
And I mean, our dogs, we keep we're focused on our dogs at all times to make sure
Okay.
that they're not dropping anything that untoward.
Yeah.
But we do find from time to time.
Yeah.
Other dogs have been there and
Yeah.
left, and owners have been irresponsible and haven't cleaned it up, but we will.
do you like the bag system that is provided by municipalities?
Works.
Okay, interesting. I don't really like it. It means there's bags everywhere. People are hanging them on trees and things like that, but it's a way to get rid of excrement. That surprises you?
It does.
Yeah, it's, people aren't being responsible, so that's another issue. It was something I pushed to introduce a number of years ago, bring in recycled bags. They're expensive to the district, and
Yeah.
people aren't disposing of them as we had envisioned them, and they're hanging them on trees and things like that. So I
I've
just wanted to
noticed a
mention-
lot of that. We're there
Yeah.
every day, twice a day.
Okay, great.
And I haven't really, to be honest, noticed a lot of that. Once in a while, we'll find a bag and
Yeah.
we'll put it away.
Okay, good.
But
And,
yeah.
yeah, and sometimes people fill our garbage cans with them, so it smells really nice in the summer. Those are my questions for now. I have more, but, thanks.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes, thank you through the chair. I was just wondering, I don't know the relationship between the school and the fields. Is the school relying on those fields for their kids during the
Not that
day?
I'm aware of.
They're not, okay, good.
I don't think there's a connection.
Yeah.
They have their own field.
Yeah, okay, that's good to know. Because kids and dogs sometimes don't go together when they're
Yeah,
playing.
that's true.
That's good to know. I think another thing is important perhaps to think about too, is it's not just the residents, it's also there's tourists that come that have dogs. And people love to come here for nature and they bring on their dogs.
Yeah,
A lot,
they do.
more than maybe some other places. So that's something I'm aware of. So, yeah, I think it's worth looking at this policy again, and trying a trial to see how it goes because, yeah, we have a lot of strain on the field because of climate change. We know that. And, but also, climate change causes a lot of stress. And although I haven't been a dog owner, I've been a dog sitter. And I know how quickly those creatures wiggle their way into your hearts.
Yeah,
And so I think it is important to acknowledge the health and the companionship that they offer to people. We have a lot of seniors and I think it's really important. Thank you.
thank you.
Counselor Inkster, can you turn your mic off so you can help me keep track? And Counselor Bell?
Yes, through the chair. I'm just wondering about the history of this. I've certainly read the documents. Is it mainly to do with what we're talking about right now in terms of what the issue was? On the excrement on the field? This is why these decisions were made? Or was it to do with the state of the field? Or was it a combination of both?
I would say it was a combination of both. And, we are not unique on the coast as far as sports field. I believe none of the sports fields have off-leash opportunities as well. So, but it's, you know, it's compounded over the years. Conditions that didn't exist years ago do exist now, and that's sort of where the decision was made.
Okay.
Right, I just want to point out that we're here to hear this group.
Yes.
We're not going to be making decisions on this
Tonight.
based on an information session. This is basically them bringing their presentation to us, and then you
Okay.
guys can go away and consider
Okay.
whether you want to relook at it.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you very much. I want to say, first of all, I am sympathetic to both sides. I am a dog owner. I own 2 big dogs, and I know how they love to run in open free spaces. So I totally understand that. And I'm also sympathetic to people that use the fields when people aren't responsible as dog owners. So it's always a tough, it's always a real balance, and it's not always an easy solution. But I want to thank you for coming tonight. And as Councillor Rowe has said, that now I know what our role is tonight. But
Right.
we'll go away and certainly discuss this. But thank you for
Thank
coming.
you. Thank you.
Don't go, you're not done yet, Peter. Counselor Shepherd?
Thanks very much for the presentation. We don't often hear poetry here, so that's unique. I wonder if there's anyone from staff who could talk about the field status of the field since the last time there was a 6-month experiment. Thanks.
Do you want, because we could also ask for a staff report on that, like if you're not prepared tonight. Go ahead.
Thank you for the question through the chair. I did speak to our parks foreman in preparation of this delegation. There was a concern with the soil for when there is dog use. So that was like Councillor Rowe had mentioned, that is a combination reason. Our parks foreman did go to a conference and talk about this issue because we know it is important to the community. And most of the fields on the Lower Mainland are similar for the same reason, for the use of the fields and the wear and tear that the dogs create on the fields. So again, I understand both sides. I'm a dog owner. However, it is a concern, especially when we're having such a difficult time keeping our fields in good enough shape for sports players in the beginning. But I'm happy to get a staff report.
Go ahead.
No, I don't need a staff report.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Okay. Counselor Toth, did you have your hand up?
Thank you, Chair. I remember this coming to us previously, and it wasn't really an easy decision at the time, and I still struggle with this because at the end of the day, the responsible dog owners aren't the problem. I can concede that. You know, those who are responsible are not the ones that are causing the majority of the problems, or possibly any of the problems up there. You know, I have had a child in sports. I know Councillor Inkster has had kids in sports as well. I am well aware of the byproduct of irresponsible dog ownership. And I do remember when we had last talked about this, our parks foreman was very concerned, very very, very well spoken on the whys of why the park should be closed to off-leash dogs. I'm interested in sort of going up there and having a look at things myself. I haven't been up to the Kinnickinnic Fields in quite some time now. But I guess I did have one question for staff. Since we closed the fields to off-leash dogs, we've had a lot of downtime on those fields, or at least on the upper field. Are either of those fields in a closed state at this time? Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you for the question. Yes, they are still closed. We're in a state of repair, and we're working regionally to work on the state of the fields. If I can revert back to the other question, I did just reread the message from our parks foreman. The 2 issues that we had, and I'm saying this as hopefully helpful for the delegation, that it was the excrement on the field and the aggressive behavior. And again, likely not from Scardo dogs, but that was the issue that we were having. And then the impact that the large dogs were having playing on the surface when they skid to chase balls, for example. So those were the main concerns from parks. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you good, Counselor Toth? Okay. All right. Counselor Bell, is that on because you
Yes.
need to speak?
Yes, it is.
Okay, go ahead. And then
And-
Counselor Inkster.
So I'm not sure if this is the time to ask the question then, in terms of clarity. I'm also wondering, I want to go up there and have another look, but it seems to me there's a fair amount of space around the field. Is there any alternatives here other than using the field in that area for a possible dog area at this point? And I would like to ask staff that question.
Thank you for the question through the chair. There are people, other municipalities that are doing bylaws. So the city of Vancouver, for example, has a bylaw around shared spaces. So if you have because some of their sports fields are off-leash designated, but they're very clear about the meters between the distance of the sports field and that off-leash space. So that is something that could be looked into if that was a route that you would like to go. There is that extra space, but you could create a bylaw that would enforce that.
I would like to request that, to have a report back from staff on that. Is that the correct way to ask?
Sure. Yeah,
Motion,
yeah. So you'd like to make a motion?
yes. I'd like Lindsay, excuse me, Director Lindsay, just as to repeat that again, as to what that would look like as a motion.
You'd like to make a motion to have staff look at the option of having a shared
A
space
shared space.
at
Okay.
Kinnickinnick Park for an off-leash dog area.
Yep.
Correct?
There was a shared space. Yes, that's right. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Well done, Counselor Bell. And
This is
is
what I
there a
take all the
seconder for
time.
that?
This is what you guys should sit up here before.
And Counselor Inkster has seconded that, so that motion. Sorry,
We're going to talk about it.
we are, settle down. Everybody let the newbie deputy mayor work her way through it. The motion is on our table and now I'm going to go to Counselor McLaughlin. I think do you want to speak to it? Or, I'm sorry, Diane. Counselor McLaughlin, it was Counselor Inkster who had his hand up. Would you like to say something else?
Thanks. Thank you, Chair. I bet you didn't think we'd have so much discussion on the presentation tonight.
You know, there are three things in this community that get people talking,
Yeah.
and this is one of them, so I'm not surprised.
Dogs on fields. Dogs on fields. I mean, I have a lot to say on this. If you give me some latitude, Chair, this 6-month trial period was brought in by myself a number of years ago originally, and it was extended at that time because there wasn't any seen problems, and but it also included the trails. So it was a request by the dog owners at that time to have an open running area for their dogs, because as Councillor Bell asked, is there any other opportunities? Well, there's lots of trails around that field that dogs run in, and that's where I take my dog. I actually take my dog, and the group knows the Crowston Greenway. That's where I take my dog, and if you go up there every few days, you'll see me. And I let him off leash, and he's a good dog, but not all, but all the dogs in there that I saw, it was really busy last week. There was probably 50 people in there, and they had good I'm just trying to tell council that it's a well-used dog area. It's got a history of dog use. The problems with the field are caused by people let their dogs on a running area. They do a run back and forth. That's where there's any damage. Otherwise, there's not a lot. Excrement is very rare, but what it's happened is that parents and users have found excrement, and if their kids step in it and or pick it up and they haven't been able to clean it up yet, that's where the problem came from the sports groups. There's another sport group that's here tonight represented, but I don't think they were the ones that pushed for the ban. I think that was soccer that came to you originally. So what I would hope that those people do is send us emails if we ask for a report, because this is a big issue. I live near Piccadilly, and there's dog people there every day. And I use the field with my kids, and there's no excrement on the field. And that's Piccadilly. They're there every morning. And there's people using Kinnickinnick often with their dogs, even though there's these new rules in place. And I'm not hearing anything about it because because there's no enforcement. We're not gonna pay people to go and sit by the field. So there's a lot of use being made of our fields and not the excrement. I just don't see it, but
Okay.
yeah, if
Do
you're.
you have anything else to say to the motion that's on the table?
That was what I was gonna say. I look forward to a report, because there's pieces to it. You just don't want your kid stepping in. dog
Okay.
stuff. Yeah.
So to the motion, sorry, staff, Director Roberts, do you have something to say?
I just wanted to add to Councillor Inkster's point about, we didn't mention the excrement, but I will just repeat that the aggressive behavior was noted in the last round of this. And so that is something to consider with children. And again, not likely Scardo dogs, but this is a consideration when we're thinking about sharing the use with sports fields and children.
That's why it's the group of eight confronted people, because there are those difficult situations.
Okay.
And bylaw 930 at the town of Gibson's does speak to very specific areas like the beaches, or like for our example, it would be Croston Trail or. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes, thank you through the chair. I was just wondering about the beaches. For instance.
Sorry, I just want to keep it to
Yeah,
the
I'm
motion
just
about
wondering if
the shared space.
they, shared space, well, or about a staff report. If the staff
So it's-
report could mention, where we do allow dogs at some times and not others, which I think, along Ocean Boulevard, between Kinnick and Friendship Park. Sometimes I think dogs are allowed off leash and certain, snicket,
Yeah.
between some seasons and then on the other seasons not. And I think there's more dogs. I see more dog walkers and more people with dogs all the time. So, and I know sometimes, yes, there's little bags left or something, but the people I know, they clean up after the others. Like, and if they have a dog that's not that easy to manage a bit, well, that's the owner, right? The owner has to pull them in and deal with it. And I don't get so uptight about a slightly snarly dog anymore because, it's up to the owner to keep them close and knows their own dog, et cetera. So I don't know if the report could add a little bit about here, because the context of Sechelt is a little different, say, than Vancouver. I really want us to look at what is happening here, what's important in our community, and where we have some flexibility and where we can, address the needs of our population and not get too caught up in sometimes very urban situations like Vancouver. Thank you.
Anything down here? Okay. Last question, and then we're going to call the question.
Sure. I was just wondering if the 6-month trial was intending it to be from May 1st, November 1st, or were intending October 1st, April?
Peter?
We're completely ambivalent on that. Whenever works for you will work for us.
Okay. Thank you. Counselor Toth.
Thank you, Chair. Just a clarification question. Recognizing at the time it was a fairly low priority, but I believe we actually have a motion still on the books asking staff to look at a possible option for an off-leash dog area in that area with Crown land. I'm just wondering if staff remember that, or if, that might be touched on in the report as well. Thank you.
Can you note to touch on that in the report if this motion is passed, please? Okay. So the motion on the table, Deputy Corporate Officer, can you just read it back, please?
That staff provide a report to look at options for a shared space for off-leash dogs around Kinnikinnick sports fields.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Counselor Shepherd. All right. So,
We just have this at the end.
yeah. All right, Peter, turn your microphone off and you may exit the hot seat. Thank you for your presentation. Oh. Hard to believe you don't want to stay for the whole thing. Okay, moving on to item 5 point, this is unusual. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So noted. 5.1, security patrols for downtown Seashell. Who was speaking to this? Is it me? No, no. It just dawned on me. Well, Lucy did a fulsome report. Do you have any questions about that? Sorry? Sorry? Uh, They put in a request for a delegation. That's what they're doing. You are welcome to email us, or whoever you're with can put in. And we have asked staff for information. They will come back to us. This is nothing that's going to change overnight. Will be lots of opportunity. Yep. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, 5.1, security patrols. So does somebody want to move the recommendation and we'll get it on the table and have a discussion? I mean, I can move it, but go ahead, Counselor Shepherd. Do I have a seconder? And Counselor Toth. Okay, Counselor Shepherd, go ahead.
To the chair, I attended the last meeting with Unison and the mayor when he reported on the ongoing program. I think from what I'm hearing, and we've heard from the RCMP, it's fairly effective. The RCMP certainly are interested in it continuing. They have limited interaction with people as they do their patrols, but it seems to be effective. So I'm certainly in support of the recommendation. Thank you.
I will just say that I'll echo Counselor Shepherd's comments. That's the feedback that we have received, that although one big thing is it's more eyes on the ground for the RCMP, and they're providing photos and such that helps them investigate and move things forward, et cetera. And I'll stop now. Counselor McLaughlin has her finger on the button.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I'm just wondering, one of the ideas behind this initiative was to gather data on things, and I don't see any data attached to the report. And I think that separation between the RCMP and our folks that are going out supervising things, well, there's a gap in a way, even for that data. For instance, the RCMP, if they have an issue, they don't know if it's related to somebody who may be drug addicted or not. They don't ask those questions. So I just find it hard to know how to break down the situation in a way that we can help the different subsets of people that are getting caught up in this whole situation in terms of sort of turning to crime or just not living to our standards. And how can we get that data? Is there any data? And I was hoping we would have some, but maybe it's just not gettable.
Counselor Shepherd?
To that point is a good point. We haven't seen any sort of formal reports, but I did get examples of I think they're sending in the reports almost daily. So they are listing contacts, and we certainly know the route that they're taking. I believe Councillor Rowe and myself attended a meeting with some residents off of Ebbtide, and I'd certainly am interested in discussing with Unison an alteration to the security patrols to perhaps focus more on some areas so that they're around certain areas more often. But I don't know, to Councillor McLaughlin's point, maybe we could have Unison send in a sort of formal report where they've collected all the data and into some recommendations. Thanks.
Yeah, I would comment that Ms. Clark and I have discussed this as well, as about trying to start putting things into a spreadsheet, and even if it's counting the number of interactions. What the patrols have shown us is that there's a whole nother world after 11 o'clock at night that goes on in Sechelt. There's, without a doubt, I think anecdotally, and Director Roberts, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like staff have noticed a decrease in the amount of issues that we are having in our own facilities, shall we say, in our own area. And, you know, even more so when you subtract the issues that have happened sort of in the daytime and more related to youth than what goes on overnight. So I think there's good evidence anecdotally, but to your point, I think we can make some progress on actually doing a better job collecting data. And Councillor Inkster, oops.
Thank you. I mean, the rationalization for the provision of a security presence in the downtown core was, I guess, for some, the provision of data and the providing of data and the recording of data was important to some. For me, what was important was presence and extra eyes at night that the rest of us are probably sleeping. And, but we're hearing concerns in our community and complaints in our community and things, vandalism occurring in our community. So that's why I will continue to support a security patrol. I sure wish we could get Lehigh to help us pay for it, because they did a security patrol for a number of years and paid for it. It's their downtown too, and they contributed significantly to that. And they were just being good corporate citizens as part of that. So that would probably help us. But I just think it's the presence and the eyes. And if some council members like data and you can get that for them, I'll just take a look at it. I think it'll just confirm what I'm hearing from people that I know in the community, that there's things happening at night and that there's things happening after 11 at night and that there's things happening at 3 a.m. when I guess 98% of the population is by then actually REM sleeping at that point. So if that's what some people need, that's fine, but I'm going to continue to support security patrols. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Bell?
Through the chair. I also support the continuation of security patrols and want to also support the request for the data. I think we've talked about data many times at this table in terms of how important it is as we go forward, just in terms of funding or just as a way of letting the community know what we're doing. And sometimes those pieces of data really help. So I understand that it's if we can just start and start to collect some of those. Also, in terms of the areas, are they going to be expanded, or what is the thought around that in this particular extension?
I think we've based it on the same amount, but they're open to, you know, rejigging it, or maybe, you know, it's not necessarily the best practice to keep the same route every night. That gets learned too, right? So they've been very flexible on working on the route. Yeah.
And is our website at all showing whether we have any gaps? Like, are people, I know that people are calling in or saying that they've got a particular problem in an area. Are we seeing any requests for some?
The email, the community safety email, is still being used. We are encouraging people there. I think there's a bit of apathy between calling the police and our email. At least in the meeting we had with the residents that live down Ebb Tideway. But we are really pushing for them to send things through to that email so that we can basically catalog it and also use it for advocacy.
Great.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to ask Ms. Smith what our balance is in that community crime programming reserve. No pressure. I know you're a year older. Don't put that in the minutes.
Thank you through the chair. That's what took me longer to grab the. So I do have that information actually at hand. So the balance is, the remaining balance after funding this would be 124,000.
Okay, thank you very much. And Counselor Shepherd?
Sorry, that's, I'm actually following up on that point. To the rest of council, two opposing points. Firstly, I think most of council knows that when we're sort of desperately looking around at other municipalities, how are they handling this problem? And we're certainly hearing that this is an essential part of what these other communities are doing. It's using their bylaw officers, it's using their public works to clean up garbage, it's employing private security. So we're not doing anything different here. My concern is the cost. I mean, if I understand this correctly, for a 6-month period, we're at about $110,000, $120,000. So if we're doing this on an annual basis, we're over $200,000. And how long do we continue this on for? Something that we are really going to have to struggle with. Thank you.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Thank you, through the chair. I'm also wondering how the local businesses are doing. I know, it seems to me at first too, they were concerned about people that were just loitering during the day. So having security, which maybe they didn't have, would help them feel better about things. But I've noticed too that some of the stores have got internal security now. And that tells me that, you know, our security isn't enough. And so that in the daytime, I'm not sure, and I don't know what hours this patrol goes around. I thought it was mostly in the day, maybe a bit at night. But it sounds like it's kind of gone more to the evenings where we're trying to really help out. But it seems to me during the day, it's not as much of an issue, especially if they have their own security that they're hiring. Anyway, so like you say, the cost, I think that's why I'd like to have known some data to pinpoint what we need and what kind of help we need and when we need it and where we need it. It's just to hire security for day and night and then just keep going without any data makes me a little uncomfortable. Plus, I do reside in the village and I would like to attend some of these meetings. I don't know when they happen and I'm not invited, but I do want to be able to tell the residents of the village, you know, what's going on. And also, I would like to see some CPTED, crime prevention through environmental design tactics taken, because I know, for instance, one strata has got an open garage with no gate on it. And I said, well, why don't you just put a gate on it? I'm sorry about people walking in there, but you have nothing to stop them. And they have issues because their strata won't allow them to put on a gate. Like, well, you know, the time has come where we have to get beyond these things and try and, you know, work with some solutions like that, because, you know, it's just the way it is now. And we have to try and deal with it a bit more directly, I think. Thank you.
Counselor Shepherd and I went through that garage last weekend and thought the same thing. Counselor Inkster?
Yeah, I mean, the mall has had security for a long time, probably 30 years, and they didn't just get it when the fabric store changed owners a number of years ago. I mean, it's just something that's been present in our town before the recent issues that we've seen. The other thing I would mention though is that I always wonder, do we not over contribute to our police fund based on not enough officers? And if we do, doesn't that mean that we have a huge surplus in there that's unaccounted for that we've taxed for? Wouldn't that help pay for security when we don't have enough officers? Might be one of the reasons why we're looking at security. I've always asked that because we over contribute every year and we don't have full complement. So it's just a way to find some money. We don't have to take it all, but we could take some of it so that we don't have to go to taxation for security patrols if we decide to continue to do this. The problems that we're facing in Sea Shelter and other communities, I know that when this council goes to conferences and other communities, most of us take a look around and see what's going on. And I report back on stuff in every community I go to and say, this is just not a Sea Shelter problem, because a lot of locals think that. It's not a seashell problem. I was just in Courtney Comox problem, Nanaimo last ABICC, huge problems over there. We're going to go to Victoria and come back and say there's bigger problems there. They just had a death in their downtown core it was a crime just a day or two ago. So I mean, and that's a bigger city, but I'm just saying that there's some big problems throughout BC. It's not just our issues, and there's funding that goes into those dealing with that. So could we look at our police fund and maybe supplement our taxation costs for this? Thanks.
Okay, any other thoughts?
I just want to
Councillor
follow up
McLaughlin.
with what
Okay.
Councillor Inkster said. I was not referring to Clayton's Mall. I was referring to a drugstore that is on its own standalone, having a person that has security, vest on, walking around all day long. So I wasn't referring to that. And I think we all acknowledge that it's not just a seashell issue. We know that.
Mhm.
So, but how we deal with it is up to us. And if we don't, it could get worse.
I know,
And which is why I know you're putting in all this work. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
I just want to say, I know a few businesses have hired their own security because their shoplifting issue is just out of control. And, that's nothing that, sort of a drive-by security situation. Councillor Toth.
Thank you, Chair. In reference to Councillor Inkster's comment about the RCMP costs and the surpluses that we tend to glean or to receive back from the staffing shortages on that, I think that's the primary purpose of the community safety reserve. And the very next item on our agenda, I believe, is being funded out of that reserve. So maybe I will put our finance staff on deck for when we get there to find out how much is left in that reserve after we approve this contract award in the next item. Thank you.
All right. All right, seeing no other hands or lights, I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Thank you. Okay, so 5.2. Justice Service Building Roof Replacement Project Award. First part, and noise bylaw as the second. So would somebody like to move the recommendations to get, so moved by Councillor Inkster and seconded by Councillor McLaughlin. And they are now on the table. And Julie, would you like to speak to anything around this piece?
Thank you to the chair. I didn't plan a presentation, but I'm here to answer any questions that you have from reading the report.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor McLaughlin, you can start off.
Thank you, through the chair. I'm just wondering, with the noise till 2 a.m., who will be notified of this? What area do you expect it to impact? Thank you.
I actually have a map if you want to look at that. I'm just gonna. So we have the RCMP, fire department, local downtown businesses, and we've done a radius of, there we go. You can kind of see the circle there. So it's a 500 meter radius from the center of the courthouse. I will not be going to the boats.
To be clear, that's the area that we expect to be affected by
Yeah,
noise, essentially. Okay.
correct. Yeah. So it's the church, all the residents, you'll see along the water, past Hackett Park, some of the businesses, some of them along the shoreline going towards Snicket Park. And then, of course, the other services I talked to you about.
Counselor Bell?
Through the chair. It looks to me like there's not that many residents, although there are residents that will be affected. Given that, I think we certainly have to look at this timeline, given the other situation of having this open or done in the evening when there aren't, this building isn't being used. But the thing that I want to ask is, will there be communication sent out to the residents if we do decide to move forward with this, of any pending noise, why, et cetera?
Thank you for the question. So yes, we have a letter ready to go, but of course, I'm not going to send that out until we get approval. We also will do social media, newspaper, and I'll do some door-to-door services like to the church, to the apartment buildings, just to make sure that they're aware of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Counselor Inkster?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. This needs to be done. And so I'm fully supportive of this. I think that the area that will probably be the one that will be affected, if any, because it is a roof change. I can't see it being that noisy other than people probably talking up there while they do the work, is right across from the courthouse towards the water. If you know Seashelt, you know that the other areas are mostly treed, other than the village area that has a lot of buildings and trees and the mall in the way. So I'd be really surprised. But anyway, they're doing the right thing. You're doing a radius and you're letting everyone know. That's the one I foresee is straight across from towards between them and the beach that will maybe hear some things.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes, thank you through the chair. I know they're a fair distance away, but I would ask that the residents of Green Court be notified. They often don't get notification. They are tenants individually. And, you know, if you don't give them each something in their mailbox, they're probably not going to get it. Or at least try and ensure that it's posted in the notice areas of each building. Because I just think they have a right to know, and they probably won't be that upset about it. They're that far away, but they do have a right to know, and they do deserve to be notified. Thank you.
Any other questions? Nothing from this end? All right, we'll call the question. All those in favor? And none opposed. Thank you.
There was that question though about the funding that Councillor Toth asked earlier though. Yeah,
Oh,
how much is in the fund?
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Because I just have, once we get that, I just have a thought on that. It'll be quick though, Madam Chair, my thought.
Promise?
Yes,
You'll stick it?
yeah, I'll stick it.
Okay.
Yeah, the dog?
Ms. Smith?
I have a dog, so. Yeah.
Thank you through the chair. So it'll be $150,000 will be the balance of that reserve after funding the roof.
Okay, thank you. Now's your chance.
Yeah, so we get a lease payment on those buildings though, do we not, annually? And I think the loan on the building is gone,
Another
or
year.
soon to be.
Yes, that's correct, but their lease is below market because that was the arrangement that they made during the process because they paid for a part of the mortgage or the loan payment.
Yeah.
So their lease is below market.
Two leases though, right? Court
Yes,
and
yeah.
RCMP.
That's correct.
So they do contribute to that. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And there's no loan though, correct on it? No more loan?
That's correct.
Yeah. So we own the building outright. Thanks.
Thank you.
I stuck it.
You did. Well done. Okay, does anyone need a break before we step into minutes? I'm joking. Nobody's getting a break. Okay. Now, as much as everyone would like to just pass these all at once, we're going to do them one at a time. Just everybody calm down. We're going to be okay. Okay. So we are moving to 7.1. So the minutes of March 3rd, minutes of March 13th for adoption. I have a mover and a seconder. And all in favor? Those are adopted. Bear with me, folks. 7.2, the minutes of February 28th for adoption. A mover and a shaker. All in favor? So adopted. Okay, 7.3, minutes of October 25th for adoption, moved by Counselor Toth, second by Counselor Shepherd. I just want to make sure everyone's with us. 7.3. All in favor? 7.4 has been removed. 7.5, so we are on the minutes of March 20th. Regular council meeting moved by Counselor Inkster.
Correction, for correction though?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is just, in discussion, Counselor Bell, in her council reports, flagged an issue, but she wants to be clear on it because we've talked about it, Madam Chair, and it's actually, would like to see a public information session.
Can you tell me what
Oh,
number?
sorry. Yes, council reports, page 40. Counselor Bell's council report.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah.
After he attended the Central Coast Labor Council International Women's Day event, Counselor Bell said, would like to see a public information session hosted by the District of Sechelt on Bill 44, which includes the public information session on our zoning changes.
And we don't even need to do it on Bill 44. It would be on the zoning changes.
Yeah.
Period.
Okay,
Yeah, if you want to say, so that's on the zoning changes that were presented last council.
okay.
Yeah.
So noted.
No.
Deputy Corporate
No
Officer.
correction here.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I would like some clarity on that one because the zoning changes are a function of Bill 44. So are you referring to the changes to the residential zoning regarding small scale multi-unit housing? Or are you referring to the change proposed to the OCP policy that was the subject of the public hearing that night before, which will be writing a report next council meeting for?
Yeah.
So I think it might be,
Yeah.
that particular recommendation might logically follow the staff report on April 17th,
Okay. Fair enough.
if that makes sense.
Okay, so what do you want your report to read then?
B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second one.
Yeah. So we want to put, could you repeat that, Andrew?
If this pertains to the OCP amendment policy respecting floor area ratio.
Yeah.
We'll be preparing a staff report that follows the public hearing and is scheduled for April 17th, next council. In which case, any recommendation about further next steps would best come as part of the discussion of that staff report rather than this.
Yes.
That's great, because I'll have a lot to say on the 17th on those issues and the information presented by the public, but that I'm just trying to indicate to you for the minutes that the intention, Councillor Bell's intention was to ask that more information be presented. She just, in discussion, she just didn't say that in her, it was not her intention to say what is presented here. She wants more public input on the OCP changes. Just to correct the.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can we just keep it general like that?
Let's keep it general.
OCP change, okay.
Yeah.
Any other changes or concerns around March 20th minutes? Seeing none, can I have a move as amended? And seconded, Councillor McLaughlin, all in favor? Okay, that's March 20th. Check. Okay. Minutes of March 6th. Council meeting, Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I was just wanting to have some clarification in my report there on page 47 of 68 at the top. It said at the end of what I was talking about, something about to promote cohesion between electoral areas. I don't really know what that means, but what I was talking about was they had a board policy for OCP amendments, and that's what I was referring to. So I think I would just like to have, instead of that I was talking about a planning policy and promotion of cohesion, just they commented on their board policy for OCP amendments. Period.
Got that? Okay. Any other concerns with Counselor Inkster, your mic's on. I don't know if it's because you need to talk. Okay, now I'm confused. Have we moved, we move these March 6 minutes, please? Or have we? Okay, move as amended. And second, all in favor? Minutes of February 21st. Counselor
Sorry,
McLaughlin.
Again, on page 55 of 68 at the top, my counselor report. I think it's not clearly written. It says, enjoyable event in Sechelt over the weekend without funding from the District of Sechelt. So what I meant there was that, I went to the Housing Summit 2024, without funding from the district. And then also that I had an enjoyable evening at an event in, I guess you could say in Sechelt over the weekend, period. Clarify that. Thank
You
you.
don't want them to know that it was the Rolling Stones or? No,
Um,
okay, never mind.
well, no,
okay.
it's all right.
And, yes,
Thank you, Chair. Since we're making changes to our reports, which I don't normally support, that same page, Councillor Toth attended a community forest board meeting and noted that low revenues were due to reduced logging in January. That's not at all correct. The low revenues were reported due to log sales past year end. Log sales were in January, so they were, past the year end. Thank you.
thank you. And per, his worship has, asked a question whether we have, forwarded the ICSP plan to the community associations. Thank you. And his worship also wanted to make note or ask Counselor Inkster, was the discussion on color coding for the fire hydrants, or what was it? I can't remember exactly what you were speaking of.
Pressure.
What, the fire hydrants?
Yeah.
I was saying the fire hydrants have 3 colors on top: green, go, amber, not a strong flow, but okay, and red, not a lot of flow in those hydrants. So it's a good way for the firefighters who painted them to know when they go fight a fire in the neighborhood.
That's right.
It's got nothing.
Okay.
So, understands that one. I've mentioned it a few times. It's just really cool.
Yeah. Okay. I think that was it. So can I have a motion to move the minutes of February 21st as amended? Is there a second? All in favor? Minutes of March 13th. Oh, okay. First and second?
Yeah, I'll move receipt and endorse.
Thank you. And second, and all in favor? Are you in favor? Opposed? You can be opposed.
I'm sort of opposed.
Okay, let's do that again. For receipt and endorsement, all in favor? And opposed? Counselor McLaughlin, thank you.
Like the way it was done.
And 7.9, almost there, folks. Yes, Counselor Inkster.
Receipt and
Min-
endorse.
Can I talk about them first? Because I hear myself speak. Minutes of February 28th for receipt and endorsement. So moved by Counselor Inkster. Second. And all in favor? And carried. We did it, Tracy. I mean, sorry. Oh, no, we haven't
7:10,
quite done it yet.
7:10.
7:10. Oh, they're on the back page of this. That's right. So minutes of March 21st. Oh, for permissive property tax exemption select committee. Can I have a mover and a seconder and all in favor? Number 8, business arising from the minutes. Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you. I would like to raise an issue from the March 14th Committee of the Whole meeting, the minutes. I would like to have a list of the dates and times that council reviewed the 2024 budget meetings, because apparently there were reportedly 5 to 6 meetings for council, and I don't recall that many meetings, and 2 full-day sessions. So I would like to know the dates of those meetings and the hours of those meetings that we attended, because I would just like some proof of that. Thank you.
Go ahead, Counselor Shepherd.
Sorry, which minutes is Councilor McLaughlin
Yeah.
referring to?
And that was March 14th. That was for the capital budget.
March 13th, I
sorry,
think
March
is what she means.
Sorry,
How many meetings?
13th.
How many meetings?
Right. Council. Because I don't know if I missed some meetings, but I don't recall that many meetings at all. Thank you.
Counselor Shepherd, do you have anything to say? Okay. Council reports. Who's speaking to the SCRD tonight?
Oh, let's see. No, I mean, I sent the map to council, so, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. The board has approved a project budget to rebuild the access road into Catherine Lake Park. It was washed out due to a
Mm.
storm event. The culvert got taken out. Directors, recognizing the value of having the park open, especially in time for this year's camping season, are funding it from areas A, B, D, and E Community Works funds. So it's not going to come out of taxation or anything like that. Contract has been extended to do the aerial photography for the Sunshine Coast for 2024. So I know that that's something that the District of Sechelt participates in a cost share so that we get accurate, up-to-date imagery for our planning department. Yeah, the cost this year is just under $75,000 in total. And there was a contract award for the replacement of the chiller system at the Gibsons and Area Community Center. The chiller is at its end of life. It's original to the construction of the facility. And staff are proposing to replace it with a safer version of the equipment that uses less of an ammonia charge. And that total project was already budgeted for and is just under $418,000. So that's really all I got for now.
Anything to add?
Yeah, just a little bit. The Catherine Lake one is, as we know, is within the regional district parks function. So we have our own parks, so we don't fund those. But we all use that park, so it's good to see the work's being done. The rec center issue is, we're gonna see a number of those things come forward now because of the age of those buildings. So that's a regional rec costs that all of us in the regional rec function are in. But as far as I know, I'm quite sure that we're very nearing the loan end for those recreational facilities. So I don't know how what that will mean for our taxation, but most likely some of the money saved, if in fact it ends, parts of that ends, will go into the repairs that are needed in both buildings that are now. The Sechelt Aquatic Center is 14 years old, and their building is, I think, 12 years old, 12 or 13 years old. So there's some repairs that are needed. The good thing about what Councillor Toth mentioned was with the new chiller is that they're bringing in a system, because I asked this, because I'm always worried when equipment, it doesn't end too early, because the cost associated with repair and replacement is they're bringing in a system they can actually work on and take apart to lengthen the life of the new chiller, so that the costs associated with the equipment isn't as high over time. Thanks.
Okay, can we start? Who wants to start? Councillor Toth, can I start with you? You have any? I know.
Thank you, Chair. Madly making notes here, hoping you weren't going to call on me first, but I'll keep it short. Couple of permissive tax exemption committee meetings. Good conversation so far, and looking forward to the next one, which is this Friday. Attended a debate in Vancouver last week, which was really interesting. I'll let you speak more to that one. And I've got my big scouting event this weekend, so we're expecting 1,200 people, and that's sort of where my brain's at this week. So, thanks.
Well done. Councillor Shepherd?
March 25th, I attended the Housing Action Table meeting where we're summarizing, it's broken down into three sort of committees. And I know that Councillor Bell and I are working on where municipal governments can advocate in order to sort of help the cause. March 27th was the library board AGM. There's have elected a few different personalities to the board. The board's very concerned with the redevelopment options being presented to council and press their case for more space because they're in a dire situation. And same day, I think quite a number of the council members attended the information meeting on the Sunshine Trails project in West Sechelt. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I should jump in and just say as well that as mentioned before, Councillor Rowe and I met with some residents in the downtown area just to review their concerns over health and safety issues.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Oh, if I could just ask about when that Sunshine Trails meeting was. I thought we had a council meeting at that time.
No, it started at 7. So we had committee of the whole that day.
Oh, thought they were going to have it before committee of the whole, not after. So I didn't get to that. Anyway, I attended this past weekend the opening of the downtown market, which was a nice, cool, sunny, bright day. It was good to see all the vendors there, and apparently they have up to 80 vendors signed up, so that's a good amount. I don't know if they were all there at that time, but it's just nice to see them there, and I feel it's a real attribute to the village area to have them there and get lots of activity and shopping and things for tourists to buy and cruise and eat and all that. So that was a good time. Just kind of a side thing that some of us have attended training for office teams, and one of the issues that came up or benefits is that these programs can be used by the Gibsons and the RD, and that there's possibilities that we could actually link up and share more documents together and plan together and align some of our policies to make it an easier job for all of us, but also just add some continuity, I think, for the residents, that, you know, there's a more similarity and more similar platforms to work together instead of kind of doing what we have in the past, which is, you know, what everybody does. But to move to the future and use these programs seems like an exciting opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Inkster.
The farmer's market opening that we did, I just wanted to mention that really quickly. It was good attendance at the beginning of the season. We'll see all those booths filled up quite soon. The weather gets better and more people get involved, but it was a good attendance by not only council, but vendors and peoples. Probably hundreds of people around were in the downtown core using the farmer's market. So it was good to be there. And maybe we'll do a booth this year and again, that'd be good. When the weather's warmer, I hope. And I just wanted to mention this, the Sunshine Trails, is that what it was called? funny, it used to be called, the development there years ago was called the Trails. But I didn't know about it. So, you know,
Counselor, did you not attend?
well, no, because I didn't know about it. Yeah, so, and Counselor Bell said she didn't know about it either.
Because I was with this group. That's the only reason.
Oh, that's how, oh, I
Yeah.
thought you said you didn't know. Anyway, I didn't know and some went because others knew. Could I just request through you, Chair, that that if staff is aware of things like that, to just put it in our calendar? It used to happen where it just be in our calendar. I just look at things like that and can I go? I don't have to go. I just know I know it exists, and it used to be events like that were in our calendar, especially information meetings on issues that are gonna come to council. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they? Okay,
Yeah.
but, sure, but is there any way we can have it put in our calendars? It was after a meeting and I just lost it. Yeah, I look at my calendar. Thanks. Can we do that? Just add it to our district calendars, add stuff like planning issues? Information meetings?
Well, I'm sure it can be done. But I feel like them sending an email is, is adequate, but I think staff have heard your
Okay,
request.
yeah,
Okay, I'm
yeah.
gonna leave it there. Counselor Shepherd.
It does take a significant effort for ourselves actually to do it, so.
I believe they've heard us. I actually saw it in the Coast Reporter before I ever
Oh, yeah.
got the email anyways.
Well, and further to that,
Okay.
it's a huge development. It's not just a little thing. So that's
Yeah,
why it
that's
would have
right.
been important. Thank
Got it. Counselor Bell.
Housing Action Table as well, a meeting attended with, and Councillor Shepherd has covered that nicely. I would just add that one of the things that Kelly Foley did discuss is that each one of the regional areas is looking at their OCPs, and we're all in that process. So that's a very important part of what we're all doing. Farmers Market agree. It was great to see it open again. 80 vendors this year. So I think that's a good number. And also attended the permissive property tax exemption select committee meeting as well. And it was very interesting, and look forward to the next one. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a super, super stimulating week with permissive tax exemption. It was a great conversation. It actually is really good to have the conversation. And then to bookmark that with a debate about the BC Building Code. I mean, just think about it. So it was actually pretty interesting. So UBC and I can't remember Urbanarium, which is a sort of urban issue focused organization, puts it on at UBC Robson Square, and it was a live debate. It wasn't very debatey, but it was still, it was very interesting. And their next one is actually on engagement and neighborhood associations. So they do record them. So we're thinking maybe that we can get together and watch the recorded version and on the big screen. So I did all the things that everyone else talked about. But today I attended my housing subgroup, which is focused on vulnerable people, our populations, and we've sort of focused on treatment, recovery, and second stage housing. And it's a very dynamic group. And, Kelly the amount of balls she keeps in the air it's a bit stunning. So we're essentially looking forward to putting a presentation together that involves governments, health authority, and nonprofits to bring this type of housing to the Sunshine Coast. And we've got some great people that are really talented stepping up to help us out on it. So I don't want to give too much away, but that is what's going on there. And so from Norway, I wish I did impersonation, but I don't. I am presently in Oslo, which is 9 hours ahead of Seychelles, or about 5 a.m. probably, hence I'm not joining you. He enjoyed a beverage at the now Old Legion on March 23rd, after which it closed pending completion of their new premises on Inlet Avenue. I want to acknowledge the Legion and especially the many members who have volunteered their time many months working on the new facilities. And also pleased to be joined by Councillors Bell, Inkster, Rowe, and McLaughlin to open the 31st Seashell Farmers and Artisans Market last Saturday. That's the end of that. And correspondence 10.1. We have a request for resolution for Community Emergency Preparedness Fund Evacuation Route Planning Grant application. Do either of you have anything to add to this item? No? Yep, go ahead. Oh, sure. Yeah, sorry. Yep. And a seconder? Yep, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just more funding for more planning for emergency routes that a number of council members are concerned about, including Councillor Bell and myself, and others may want to speak up to that, but we just need more planning. Thanks.
Okay, so just to be clear, the motion they're looking for is that council support the Sunshine Coast Regional District applying for, receiving, and managing the Community Emergency Preparedness Fund evacuation route planning grant funding on behalf of the district of Seashell. Okay, any other? All in favor? So carried. And I've lost my agenda, but I'm pretty sure and hoping it's motion to adjourn. Is there anyone online with hot burning questions? No. Oh, nobody's here. All right. Thank you, everyone.